You cannot, no matter what, no matter how smart you are, no matter your willingness, you can never be the expert in everything.
Until right now, this very moment, contractors have always been on their own, not as tradespeople, but being alone and knowing how to take their business to the next level. They call us working class, they call us blue collar. They say that we don't have the smarts to become the business owner that we're meant to be. That is such bullshit. You have the ability. You're more than any of that. The question really is, where do you get the insights that you need specific to contracting to systemize your business so you can get your profits to pay for your freedom? I'm Andrew Houston. I'm going to show you how to make more profits, how to get more control, how to get more freedom in the simplest, quickest way possible without any of that bullshit. Welcome to the No Bullshit Podcast for Contractors. Listen up, level up, and if you learn something, like the video, subscribe to the channel, change your business, change your life.
Hey, Rockstars, Andrew Houston. Here's another No Bullshit Podcast for Contractors. Here's the question you want to ask yourself, okay, if this podcast is for you or not. Seriously, no bullshit. How much are you making the right decisions, And I said, well, here's the question. Actually, there's a couple of questions. Like, how do you make the right decisions? How do you know where to start? Okay, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling anxious, you feel like you got too much on your plate, you can't get this, just can't seem to get this business of yours, this contracting business of yours going in the right direction, and any of that resonates with you, okay, especially not knowing what to do and how to improve it, then this is the podcast for you, especially since I got the rockstar here, Rox, who's joining us for today's call. How's it going, Rox?
Going great. How are you doing, Andrew?
Doing awesome. So,
awesome.
Rox, you've been a big part here at PFC, in helping me out, helping the team out, in trying to take this business to the next level, right? You've been involved even with, some of the clients and so many different aspects of the business, to bring it to the next level, to really help these clients and things of that nature. And one of the things that we talked about, that's why you're on this call, is how so many times we've we've gotten sort of carried away with our emotions. And then we start pausing and asking some smart questions. And then we're able to sort of like remove some of those emotions and make some really good decisions. But so many times, if we let it, our emotions get in the way. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So it's only normal, in my opinion, to, let your emotions get too much into the picture sometimes, because, we're talking about your business or your goal, which is always, really connected to who you are as a person and your values. So again, it's only normal that emotions play a big part of things. But, one thing that you need to consider is that when you are making decisions, or when you're trying to make a strategic decisions, meaning trying to define what's the right thing to do for the business and for everyone involved, you cannot lead by emotions. You have to lead by data-driven decisions. And the best approach that I've found and I've learned here at PFC, it's that you have to take into consideration before actually like throwing yourself into data and like throwing yourself into, I need to make decisions and I need to look at this, I need to look at that. You need to pause and like, before actually getting yourself immersed, be like, first of all, what do I have in place? Second, it's what's missing. And third, it's how can I leverage what I currently have? Because asking yourself these questions before making any decisions, it's key in my opinion. Because as a business owner or as a manager, in my case, I'm sure that there's many dashboards, spreadsheets, manually tracked documents even that you look at every single day. And sometimes you're not even sure of what's the purpose of you sitting down at that moment or blocking time off to go through everything, So it's really important that when you actually have the time to sit down and look at everything, you have the right lenses to look at things on. Okay? And I found that the moment that you dwell too much on what's missing, so remember, it's three main things. What do I currently have in place? What's missing? That's second. But the third kind of like roads you back to the first one, which is what you already have. And it's how can I leverage what I currently have? And so the moment that you delve too much on the second one, which is what is it that I'm missing, you're like putting a lot of pressure on yourself, focusing on the negatives, and again, that can lead you towards opening up this whole realm of emotions and like, I'm missing this, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that. And that is just a reflection of your thoughts, when in reality, that is that, and the beauty of it is that it helps you take the pressure off of you, in a sense that you're looking at numbers, which are a reflection of skills, and it's not necessarily a reflection of a person, meaning not yourself or someone of your team.
Well said. Holy cow. Drop the mic. Man, I'm serious. That's like, holy cow. You're teaching me something. Seriously, like, no, it's really good. That's really good. I'm quite impressed. When I say that, how you describe that, I want everybody to understand, okay, that this is, I bring up all the time because I mean it from the bottom of my heart. This is the no bullshit podcast, okay? And that includes that we don't have it perfect. What do I mean? Yeah, we're proper contractors. Yeah, we help contractors. Yes, we've helped over 6,000 contractors. Does that mean that we're done? Does that mean we got it perfect? No fucking way we don't, okay? Anybody tells you that they do, let me tell you right now, you got to ask yourself, do you want to be part of, somebody that's helping you that's not evolving, or do you want to be part of something and that's not real? Like, we don't have all the answers. So I'll tell you what, though, with this kind of approach, you can definitely get the answers and take the right action, move your business forward. So with that being said, when Rox, you talked about these 1, 2, 3s, right? Like what do we have in place? What's missing? How do we leverage what we currently have? I want everybody to just pause right now. Just driving in the truck, you're in the office, you're, at a coffee shop, whatever. I want you to pause. So let's just slow things down. Okay. I want you to pick one thing that you're trying to improve in your business. Don't want 50 things. One thing. Okay. I'm going to help you. Okay. Seriously going to help you. So we're going to walk through this, in the next 10, 15 minutes. So you guys literally can walk away with some value that you can apply, and you can maybe apply it real time. So first things first is you want to take a look at, like, what is it that you're trying to accomplish in your business? Okay. Everybody has a different way of thinking and answering some of these questions that we're going to go through. But the principles are the same. Okay. And if you don't know where you're trying to go, you've heard this before, guys, 100 times, but they're like, what the fuck? What do you do with it? Okay. But it's the truth. First thing, you got to try and get a gauge of where did you want to go. Now, some people listening in, if I said to you, tell me where you want to be at the end of this year, you'd be like, anxiety attack. Fucking, oh my God, this is too much. Okay. No problem. Some of you might be listening and going, yeah, I got this, man. No problem. I know where I want to be in a year from now. There's no judgment here. There's no right. There's no wrong. But one thing for certain, you have to have a gauge of where it is you're trying to go. All right. So whatever resonates with you, you might say, hey man, I can only see past 2 weeks. Then if you can only see past 2 weeks, you only see past 2 weeks. All right. Like somebody that's got bad eyesight, they can only see so far. Okay. Until they get a set of glasses. Okay. Maybe you don't have access to the glasses. Totally cool. So you can only see as far as you can see, and that's okay. But, answer that question, which is like, where do you want to be? And when I ask you that question, I'm going to give you some guidance. Okay. There's 3 core pillars we teach here at Profit Contractors. And this is developed. This is our IP. This is like intellectual property. This was created by me. Okay. A long time ago through learning through my own contracting business. Okay. The 3 pillars go like this: time and team, profits and cash flow, marketing and sales. So just pause. When I ask you that question, where you're trying to go, okay, no matter what time frame, is time and team the thing that resonates the most with you? And you'll know that's the case if you're like, I got no time. I'm having massive problems with my team. Maybe you're okay there. Cool, totally cool. Move on to the next one. Is it profits and cash flow? Do you want more profits? Do you want more cash flow? Okay. Or is it marketing and sales? Okay, now there's a reason for the process. There's a reason in this order. We're not going to spend that much more time on this, but by now, just pick one. Is it time and team, profits and cash flow, marketing and sales? So now we come back to that question. Like, what is it that we're trying to achieve? Okay, and then I'm going to shut up and really dive in deep here with you, Rox. Okay, so we're doing a little micro planning session here, everybody. And then we're going to leverage aspects of the importance of data. Okay, and how we're going to bring it all together. So hopefully you picked one. Hey, you know what? Time team. Hey man, in 3 months time, I don't want to be doing quoting anymore. I want to be off the job site and I want to like fucking stop working 80 hours and be down to 50. Perfect. Beautiful. Okay. So let's just go with that. Okay. Let's just go with that as an example. Okay. For time team. Profits and cash flow could be like, hey man, you know, I'm looking at my profit and loss statement. By the way, if you're not, then you sure shit better. Okay. I'm looking at my profit and loss statement. It says 5% net profit, bottom line profit. I want this thing to be at least 15. Perfect. When? Say in 6 months. Beautiful. There you go. You're 6 months. The other guy's 3 months. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Okay. Pick it. Okay. It could be in marketing sales. Okay. Which right now, in all honesty, okay, in today's world, and guys, don't take offense to this. It's just the way that I see it. You don't have to believe me. No problem. If you're in North America and Canada or the US, and you're not starting to get a lot of work, if you don't already have a lot of work right now, you got some other big problems. Okay. You really need to focus in on that first part, which is time and team and getting your delivery right. Okay. Because in today's world, there's a massive shortage of trades, tons of demand. Okay. But on marketing and sales, you might go, I got way too many quotes. I only want to work with A players. And, you know, I want to get rid of some D players in the next 2 to 3 months. Perfect. Okay. So guys, now that you've picked one of those, okay, again, you can pause the video, come back to it once you've determined, okay? Now we got to focus in on, now that we know where it is we're trying to go, now Rox's 3 points are just gold. So Rox, when we look at these different things, okay, so we're looking at one of these different pillars. They've picked one. What do we have in place, have anything to do with this conversation?
I mean, it's really important because you cannot start without knowing where is the start line. You know what I mean? So in order for you to fix something or to know what needs to change in order for you to achieve what is it that you want to do, you need to look at what is currently in place and what it's going to actually serve you in the long run and what doesn't serve you anymore as a business owner, depending on what stage you're at, you know, because there's also different stages of being a business owner. And so that's really important because, again, if you do not know what you're working with at the moment, you're never going to know what is that you need to improve.
What Rox just said is huge. Okay. Say, let's just use an example. It was the time and team one. Okay. And we had 1,000 people that all wanted to delegate quoting, all wanted to, you know, delegate being on the job site. Every single one of them that came to us, thousands of these contractors came to us. The way that they answer that question, what do I have in place, is it's not going to be the same, is it, Rox?
It's not. Definitely not.
Why? Tell us more.
Because it's like your company and the way that you look at things, it's very personal. You know, I consider that companies are something personal. People like to say that, you know, my personal life and my business, those are separate things. But in reality, they are not, because, you know, what you do in your company, how you lead it, the values that you bring to it, how you like to work, it's automatically inherent to who you are, to your values as a person, to who you like to work with. So it is really important that you know all of these things and definitions yourself, because let's say in future you're looking to delegate it right now. What if I come to you, you know, as the quoting specialist, and I'm like, okay, so you want me to fix this, but where are the documentations? You know, like, how do you track this? Oh, so how much is that percentage for you specifically? Do you know how much you profit out of this specific job? You don't know. Then who knows? You know, like, you're the owner. You should know this.
That's it. So everybody listening in, okay? The principles are the same, okay? The approach is the same. But the answers to these 3 questions are going to be different for everybody. That's why it's so critical that you and your team, if you've got a team, answer these questions specific to your business, specific to what it is that you're trying to achieve, okay? So what do we have in place? It's a huge, huge question, very valuable question. And the thing is that it allows you to go, all right, if I'm focusing in on this, let's say it's delegating quoting to guys, we're just going to use that one let's just use that one for today. Okay. For a bit of our conversation, and we can talk about some other areas as well. So you guys can get some examples, like real examples of like, okay, I get it. So let's say it is quoting. Okay. Looking at what you have in place, you might have software in place that you quote with. Okay. It might be different software than anybody else. Okay. You might have, you still be old school and do it. I doubt it, but do it like carbon copier. But like what you have in place is going to be different. All right. Some people might be tracking how many leads they get, and they're tracking their quote to win ratio. So they know if I quote 10 jobs, I win this many. They might know to the next level where they're like, I don't only know that as an overall for, as an average for these 3 or 4 different services I provide. I specifically know those numbers and that data for each of the services that I have. Okay. Now, other people, that might not be the case. Some might know the info for some of the services. Some might know all. Some might not have any idea of any of it. Okay. So make sure you know what you have in place specific to what it is that you're trying to solve. Okay. Now let's go to the next question. What's missing? Well, like Rox said, so smart. Rox, if you don't know what you have in place, how would you know what's missing?
Yeah, exactly.
So now, how do we figure that out? Because we're going to cover this off, and then I'm going to give you guys a bit of a shocker to think about as well. Okay. So what is that like? If you don't answer number 1 well enough, what's your ability to answer question number 2? What's missing?
So, it's gonna be limited, but the thing is that because you're trying to fix things, or you're trying, when you actually ask yourself these questions, you're going to find that there's a lot of things that are gonna go through your mind, from your goals to, did I actually achieve them already? To, do I really need to achieve those goals? Like, it's actually going to even help you revisit what is it that you're trying to actually do, your intentions and purpose. So what's missing, it's aligned to your goals. If you can answer which are your goals, where you want to go, that is going to kind of like give you a gauge of what's missing,
Right. Right. And in this case, we're focused in on delegating quoting. So guys, notice the answers from that versus delegating, not being on the job site, would be 2 totally different answers to what do we have in place and what's missing. Seriously, guys, those are the principles are the exact same. The answers are very, very different. Okay. That's why at the beginning of this, I did a little bit of a rant on like the importance of knowing where you're going, what it is you're trying to achieve. Okay. And that's why it's so focused to pick one. Don't pick, I'm not saying you can't eventually pick another one that, say, 2 or 3 goals, but we've got to pick one horse, focus in on it, and start answering these questions. Okay. So now we got number 2. What's missing? Awesome. Then we get number 3. How can I leverage what I currently have? So like, tell us a bit more about that. Like maybe in the example of this quoting, delegating quoting, like what could be some examples of that come to mind if you have any?
So, from a data perspective, I'd say that, how do you leverage what you currently have once you've already answered what's missing? And I'm guessing that if you want to delegate this, one of those things, it's like, what am I missing? Well, I'm missing the quoting expert, right? So how can I leverage what I currently have? It's pretty much asking that quoting expert. First of all, finding the quoting expert. And second, it's asking them, what do you need in order for us to make this successful? And then going back, and the expert will guide you a lot. They will tell you, oh, well, I need these percentages, I need these margins, I need these quotes, I need them all organized per, on a specific price point. Yeah.
Totally. Okay. So look, guys, here's the thing. When you get to number 3, you can then be able to go, well, look, here's the data that I currently have. And then you can really ask yourself, how can I leverage it? Okay. Example. Let's say that you weren't gathering how many leads you were, getting, okay, or requests for quotes. And let's say that you weren't gathering, your conversion rate, but yet you knew how much sales you have. Well, then that gives you the ability to go, okay, I know what my sales currently are. Now I can look at the things that are going to change those sales. Okay. Innately focusing on more sales is not going to change sales. Now I can look and go, okay, I've got this number of sales that I currently have. Here's the number of sales that I currently want. Okay. So now what are we doing? We're leveraging current data to say, if this is what I've got now, back to what Rox was saying earlier, what do I want in the future? But guys, that's a decision that you're able to start working around, okay? Because you're using the current data. And guess what? Most contractors know what their sales are, okay? Then we can start going backwards and going, okay, well, what data do I need to gather? All right? So where I want to go with this conversation is sort of the next phase of this is now that you guys have learned the approach to like, what do we have in place? You know, what's missing? How can I leverage what I currently have? I want to share with you some struggles that we've had, okay? Because we have had some challenges, which is when you gather this information, there comes a point, okay, where you have to make a decision that, hey, the people that are working on it right now are the right people with the right data, and we're good. Or you're going to have to make a decision of like, we think we have the right data. You know, I was hoping we had the right people, or person or what have you, but you don't. It's really important. Where am I going with this? There are things in your contracting business, guys, where you're going to be able to either by yourself or with your team solve some of the challenges and achieve some of the goals that you want. That's awesome. Okay, that's awesome. And a lot of times that's going to be in the space. I'm just going to be giving a heads up as, you know, as a fellow contractor, where you have a bit of expertise. Okay. So let's say we wanted to make the jobs more efficient. There's a good chance, okay, if you follow this process, you know, maybe you want to raise your hand, get some help from us, you know, have a call and have us help you lay a bit of a game plan for this. But if you lay this out properly, there's a good chance with your insights and expertise and knowledge of the trade, along with your team, that you're going to be able to improve your, say, profitability or efficiency or whatever that goal is around, say, specific to job sites to a certain degree. All right. But there's going to come certain areas, it could be in that or it could be outside of that, where you have to come to the conclusion that you're not going to be able to do this with just you and your team. You need an expert. So Rox, how do we go about determining that? Like, is there a process that comes to mind? And by the way, everybody, I didn't have a call with Rox on this. I'm curious to see what her answer is going to be. So I'm sort of putting her on the spot. Okay, no bullshit. So like, what comes to mind, Rox, when you're like, hey, we can work on this. We got this. You know, we got the team, we got the data. We're able to answer those 3 questions. And yeah, we're able to execute on the plan to achieve a result, versus when you got to make a decision of like, no, we need somebody else's eyes on this. What comes to mind too?
First thing that comes to mind is that willingness does not equal experience. Just want to put that out there. Wow. That's first. Because you can have an A player that's excellent at what they do, you know, like they're great at I don't know, like project management, but they're not so good on the tools because like their zone of genius is managing. It's not being on the tools, right? So that's the first. And second, it's you as the owner or manager, you need to come off as transparent as you can, so the team can also feel that they have a space for them to be transparent and be like, hey, I'm here and I'm down to play, you know, and do the most that I can and bring my best efforts to what I do. But what you're requesting or what you're needing right now, I don't know how to do it. Like, I have no clue.
Wow. This is really good.
And it starts off with you as the owner and as the manager. Because if you're always, you know, presenting yourself with this facade of, I know everything. Yeah, for sure. Like, we're going to fix it. And like, people might not come to you and like to tell you like, oh, dude, like, I don't know how to do this, you know, because they see you such as like, he's so perfect or she's so perfect. Like, they know how to do everything. But if you come off transparent and you give your team the space to also be upfront to you and be like, dude, Like, I don't know how to do this. And I'm not saying that I'm not here to or willing to learn. But again, willingness to learn something doesn't equal experience. Okay. Now, if you as the manager or business owner agreed on allowing that person to use their willingness to learn and it made mistakes along the route and all of that, I mean, that's on you and that's a personal decision and it's a-okay.
Yep.
Right? But if there's a specific goal that you're trying to achieve, it will save you lots of time and money to just go for the person that has already gone through all of the trials and tribulations and they know their stuff.
Interesting. Very interesting. I love it. You're bang on. Okay. So let's just know. I'm going to, don't have to get crazy detailed, but I'm going to share something here. Okay. We've been working on trying to solve something. Okay. When I say solve, trying to hit certain targets, certain goals in a certain area of the business. And we did this process. Okay. We did this process. And we put in the willingness. And we put in the time. But here's where, back to what Rox is saying, I just want to bring this home. Okay. It's so important you hear this, team. There's a phase in which it's going to be sort of like 3 phases. Okay. Maybe it's 3 phases. Maybe it's like three different buckets that things are going to fall in when you look at these questions. So no matter what, I don't give a shit. You got to answer these questions. Okay. Number 1, what do I have in place? Okay. What's missing? Okay. And what data do I have? What data do I currently have that I can use? Okay. I don't care. So those are the 3 questions. You're like, 3 questions in there. Why would we have like different buckets? I'm going to tell you why. One of the buckets, after you answer these questions, is you're going to look at them and you're going to go, okay. And by the way, I love whiteboards. I love what's iPad or whatever works for you that gets your brain in its zone of genius. And if you need a team member to help you with this or a lead person or whatever, in my case, it was Rox and some other team members, okay, is you answer these questions and then you reverse engineer it and go, especially with number 2, okay, and number 3. So I've got this data. Awesome. Okay. This data is going to it might allow you to make some decisions to go, hey, quick win, we can do this, and that's going to improve this. But when it comes to what's missing, you got to ask yourself this question. If I was able to be able to get the data for those different areas where we don't have data, where the data is missing, would that give us the result that we need? Okay. So if the answer is in bucket number 1, yes. Okay. And you're certain of it. Perfect. Start working the plan. Put that willingness to it. But guess what? Right, Rox? Don't wait too long. What do I mean? If you wait too long that you're applying those, you've now found those missing pieces of data. You're trying to leverage the data you have and you're still not getting the result. You've got to give yourself a time frame. And this is where I'm going to take ownership and say, I screwed up. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? All of a sudden you blink and that willingness and that effort and those conversations and all that time equates to what? A lot of time, a lot of willingness. And you get all that data and you still don't get the result. So you want to put a stake in the ground to go, I'm going to give this a shot. Once I get this missing data and leverage the data that I have, if I still don't get the result, then what do we got to ask ourselves, Rox?
Who can I go to? Like, who's the expert in this?
Right. So understand when the question is what's missing, and Rox, I don't know if you implied this, there's a couple of flavors of that. When I say there's a couple of components of it. One is what's missing when it comes to a data perspective. And the most important one that I want you to ring home is, do we have the expertise or is it missing? Now you might not know the answer to that. You're like, what do you mean, Andrew? I'm like, we didn't know what was missing because we are not the experts. But what happened? We kept on pushing through, gather this, gather this. Okay, we got the data. Okay, make this decision. Make this decision. Shit, still not getting the result. But we did it. We did it for a little bit too long. Okay, so how you know you need an expert, and that could be, hey, I need proper contractors to take a second look at what's going on here. I need some help. That's totally cool. If it's some other form of an expert, that's totally cool. But you know you need an expert if you get the data that's missing. You apply the data that you currently have, okay? Which means all those boxes of data are filled now, and you apply it and you still don't get the result, okay? Stop. Stop. That plan is not working. And if you ask yourself from a data perspective, what's missing? What's missing? What's missing? You'll just fucking keep going. Right, Rox?
Yeah. All loops. Because you only know as much as you know right now, you know?
Right. And by the way, what's the emotions? Share some of the emotions that you experience, going through this process and I'm not talking about the process of like the excitement of, if we just get this data, then we get it. Oh, and then we apply this. Oh, awesome. And we're all excited. Yeah, we got it. We solved it. Tell me about the emotions when we've applied it and we apply it and we apply it and we're still not getting the results. What's the emotion?
Yeah, because what you mentioned is kind of like the bright side of it. Like if you actually, like if you get that and it actually worked, like super, it worked. But if it doesn't and you just loop around the same thing and the same questions, it can really be detrimental for yourself and the team because, you're going to start feeling frustrated, ineffective. Sometimes you might feel, well, as the manager, sometimes I felt like I was letting my team down because how can you lead when you don't have a clear goal ahead of you? And it's extremely important when you're the business owner or the manager to keep your team engaged and to make them feel secure and like, hey team, this is what we're working towards and I got your back. So it can feel as if you're, just letting your team down. And I know that it's not going to be the same for each person, but I deeply care about my team because I consider that, I'm there on the trenches with them. I'm doing the things. And so it can really take a toll on you because you see them giving their all,
Yes.
performing, coming to you with ideas, coming to you with documents and like, hey, I found this and like, check this out. This could be important or I noticed this. At the end of the day, none of you are the experts and you're going to continue looping on that because you don't know what you're looking at. You don't understand it yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, great share. So look, if you're in the trenches right now or you may have said the right wording, the trenches, but you're a business owner of a contracting company. I'm talking to you and you're like, I'm so frustrated. I've tried this. This isn't working. I'm not getting the result I want. Just pause. Just pause. First of all, reflect this to make sure you tell yourself that, if you're following these three questions, okay, first of all, did I follow these three questions? And if the answer is yes, and you're still not getting the result, don't beat yourself up. So as an owner on this call, I'm pretty hard on myself as far as accountability. What do you say about that, Rox?
Oh, yeah. You get frustrated pretty fast because like it's just like you have high standards for yourself and the team, but like that's actually inspiring. And then that's one of the reasons why it also motivated, I feel, myself and our team to, continue to bring on ideas and things to the table because we saw your willingness. Again, like the willingness was never missing, but it doesn't equal experience, and so we saw your willingness and it of course it drips down into everyone. That's also why it's extremely important that you're transparent with your team so they can
sharing that. That's awesome. It means a lot.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean it. And so that's why it's important that you're also transparent, because people are going to reflect back what you show to them.
So true. So true. So, here's the thing, right? We got to a point, just being clear with everybody, okay? And it's okay. This is okay. And these are the tough things. I'm going to share in all honesty. These are some of the toughest things for me as an owner, no matter which company I've had or all the rest of that, is when the willingness is there, when the effort of the team is when they've put it in, okay? And you're not getting the results. It's going to be tough, okay? you're not going to feel good as the owner. You're not going to feel good, in Rox's case, as the manager. But what you got to say to yourself, especially this is the importance to put a stake in the ground from a timeline perspective, is the willingness sometimes takes time. And what do I mean? You blink because you're so dedicated as an owner. You're, even as a manager, you're so dedicated to solving this problem that you're so convinced that you got the right data and now we can make these decisions. Then you make these decisions and you don't get the results. And you're like, what the fuck is going on here? So then you try again. You've got to put a stake in the ground. Okay. Now, how do you come up with the stake in the ground? I'm going to tell you, don't go longer than a month. Okay. Like if you're only touching it, trying to figure out something, you've given it 1 hour in the span of, okay, guys, that's bullshit. Okay. But I honestly, I wouldn't give it more. And I'm coming up with this now that I'm reflecting on it. If you're putting in like 5 hours a week on something, so that's like 20 hours in a month and you haven't made the progress that you want, you got to stop. Yeah. Like you got to stop. Okay. And when I say the 20 hours, I'm talking about like 20 hours where you've gotten the data you think you need, you're applying the data, you're making data-driven decisions and you're not getting the results. Stop. Okay. Maybe your limit's only 2 weeks. Okay. But you do have to give things enough time. All right. So coming back to being the owner, coming back to being a leader like Rox, it's going to be tough to suck this up because you didn't get the results for you and your team or for your clients. Okay. But that's part of life. Okay. I'm honest, guys. I'm being honest. It's part of life. What's not acceptable? What is not acceptable is not putting a stake in the ground. But I should have put a stake in the ground because it went on probably for an extra month and a half. Okay. That it should have. To stop. Okay. That's how I'm looking at it. Okay. Again, I'm pretty hard on myself, but we did put a stake in the ground. So that's super critical. The second thing that goes to the stake in the ground is you have to be committed to stopping and going, we don't have the expertise. And it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean I'm a bad leader. It doesn't mean that I made the wrong decisions. What do I mean by that, Roxy?
It can be, again, that goes hand in hand with like trying to not let your emotions get too into what you're trying to do in the data in itself. But, it's only normal that you feel that you somehow have failed because, it's like a goal or a task you have taken up on yourself to, solve this issue. And if you are as obsessed as Andrew gets, and, if you have the drive that I do when it comes to managing my team and helping me succeed, you can feel as a failure sometimes because it's like, oh my God, I couldn't do this myself, Right. But it doesn't make you less smart. It doesn't make you a bad person just because you don't know how to do it. And that's when humility and even having some sort of kindness to yourself and admitting that, hey, I'm very good at what I do, but this that I'm trying to tackle, that just like it exists, my expertise. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's also the beauty of having a community that supports you, of having coaches, of having a good team of 8 players that support you, people who actually see the value in what you do and your expertise. And also, it's about finding the balance of knowing your strengths versus your vulnerabilities. And there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable. And if we're all human, we're all trying to sort out what's best for the company. We're all trying to figure out, in your case, guys, day after day, trying to figure out how to become a champion CEO. Because those are things that no one hands off to you. Those are things that no one in the trades teaches you, the business aspects of things. So you also have to give yourself time and a space to know that you only know so much right now, to know that the learning curve will take you time. And you just have to also be patient with yourself and the growth process.
I love it. I hope you guys are getting, value out of this because I know everybody listening and all you owners, and I'm talking to you, where you're like, man, I'm trying so hard. So many beautiful people come to us and they're putting in 60, 70, 80 hours a week trying to solve a problem. And it's just a Band-Aid. And when they come to us, and this isn't just us, this is what happens, I think, with dealing with other experts. It could be a lawyer that's an expert. It could be an accountant that's an expert. It could be whatever that expert is that you get these aha moments, okay, that you're like, oh my God, now this makes sense. Oh my God, it all makes sense. So like we brought in an expert, okay? Guys, I'm not shitting you. Something that rocks, am I right? Like rocks is just like we worked on this thing for months within less than 24 hours.
Crazy.
Like, less than 24 hours. The guy goes, hey, yeah, we're on the Slack channel, right? He's like, hey guys, yeah, just want to let you know, this was turned off and this is not working and that's not working. And like, yeah, you've probably been experiencing this and this and this. And we're like, oh my God, like we never would have been able to figure that out ourselves. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. So, and that happened in like, when I say 24 hours, the guy goes and he goes, yeah, I just put in a few hours, pick this up. I'm like, what? He's like, well, I haven't done the full audit yet, but I'm 3 hours in and like, this is what I found. And Roxana are just like, oh my God, now it makes sense. Like so many things make sense. Okay. And by the way, it doesn't usually what happens to be, in most cases, what I've experienced. And Roxy, tell me your opinion. Okay. And then we'll start wrapping this baby up is all of what you worked on isn't lost. And what do I mean by that? We're not stupid people as owners and contractors, people look down upon them. You guys are all fucking brilliant, okay? You guys manage the hundreds, thousands of things in your head, running job sites, all these different, ordering the material, doing the quotes, like I don't care how big a business, I don't care what type of business, all the rest of it, okay? So when you take these approaches, these 3 steps, once you know what you're focusing in on, and you go and try it out, there's like a 99% chance that a lot of those data points, okay, are totally, are right. It's just you were missing a couple of data points that you didn't even know existed. And now you can move forward. Like I'm excited now. Rox, right? You excited?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, because now we know we can solve it. And now we know why we weren't able to solve it. So
takes the pressure off of you a little bit.
Well, yeah, and you know what? It just, I'm being totally transparent with everybody here. Okay, no bullshit podcast. Even in my world, okay, I don't know it all. Okay, I think that this is a prime example that I didn't follow one of my principles because I got too excited with my willingness. And my obsessedness of like, fuck, we're going to solve this. And, made a whole bunch of decisions and gathered a whole bunch of data, made decisions based upon that data, didn't have all the right data. Then, like, oh my God, we need this expert. And the expert just shines the light going, oh my God, like, and that's okay. It's so long to learn from it. Okay. So, like I said earlier in the podcast, you want to do things that literally leapfrog you decades to days. Guys, in this case, 3 hours of an expert's time was equivalent to like 2.5 months of our time in trying to solve it. And guess what? In that 2.5 months, we didn't solve it. Okay. Now we made progress. A lot of what we have discovered is going to be, applies to the full equation of it. But we needed this expert. We could have went for another fucking year, Rox, and we would have been like, I don't understand, right?
Yeah. No, and I also want to emphasize, like, pause for a moment. That process of, like, it is important. It actually is important that just as you said, you give yourself a timeline, like, hey, this is like, I'm going to try this for a month. If it doesn't work, I'm going to get an expert because then you can, keep on going for as long as you keep on going. But you also have to recognize that whatever time frame that you give yourself to try it out yourself with just your willingness, it's also really important for you to discover your thought process. What is it really that you have in place? What is like, it will help you answer even further those questions and even pick up how you do things and discover things about your business, like how you manage things that you're going to be like, oh, so in future as a business owner, what I learned here, maybe you didn't solve the problem, but what I learned here, I'm going to definitely apply it elsewhere in the company. So everything really is part of learning, and every experience positive or negative, can leave you something that you can apply in future.
I love it. And that's the power, especially of data, right? Data is data. That means that that data, combined with the information of the data related to the system, the steps, the process, all these different things, and maybe a lot of that is in your head. Okay. Hey, I got this data, and these are the results that I get. I don't understand why my other guys don't get the results, and you're leveraging data, and you're like, doesn't make sense to me. It's like, okay, it's either a process problem, guys, or it's a people problem. I'm really simplifying this for you. It's either a process problem or it's a people problem. Okay. Now you might have the right people, you might have the right data, and if you don't have the right process that they can follow the same as yours, you got a process problem. You have a people problem. Right? So this has been a great call. I love it, Rox. I just love it. So what would be there's any last words of wisdom that you would give to somebody listening in to this going, oh my God, I'm fucking you guys are in my head. I've been trying to solve this freaking problem for a year, 6 months. I can't find anybody, can't hire, can't get more profits. I get and they're like, I just, no matter what I do, what would be your last words of advice, based upon what we covered off in this podcast?
My advice would be Texas, get yourself an expert. But really do that first. And second, it's just be honest with yourself. If you really feel that you're at the stage where you're just I don't want this anymore because I don't know what else to do. I'm just looping around, doing the same things. Just be honest with yourself. Gather what you've learned so far. Do not discard what you've built so far yet, because that's definitely going to be the baseline for the expert to work with in future. So all of your efforts, they're not going to waste. They definitely were something that you built and put in place for something. It's just that sometimes we are the ones that are meant to kind of build the path, but not the actual, monument at the end of the path. You know what I mean? Sometimes we just work on the path for someone else to finish it, and that's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. Totally okay. Okay, love it. Okay, so I'm gonna give mine. All right.
Perfect. Dying to hear that.
Dying to hear it. Okay, awesome. You cannot be the expert at everything. So seriously, think about this. Pause and think about this. You cannot, no matter what, no matter how smart you are, no matter your willingness, you can never be the expert in everything. My beautiful wife, she's a chartered accountant. Okay. 6 years to become a chartered accountant. Guys, it took me 5 years of an apprenticeship just to become an electrician. When I came out, I didn't know I felt like I knew nothing. Okay. Why am I saying this to you? Okay. You're not a bookkeeper. You're not a lawyer. You're not an accountant. Okay. You're not a business coach, with all the systems and the structure and the process and things that you might have the title as an owner. Okay. But if nobody's taught you how to be the owner, the champion CEO, right? Which is really being a real champion CEO, which is about being an expert as an owner. An expert champion CEO knows that they are not the expert in everything. Okay. It's that set of lenses. The only way that you can get the focus, the clarity that you need is through multiple different sets of lenses. And those other lenses come from other people. You can't see what you can't see, guys. Okay? Don't beat yourselves up about it. But one thing, my long-winded piece of advice, is if you're not getting the results that you want and you've put in the willingness, stop and reach out for help and get some expert advice. Because if for as long as you can't see what it is you need to see, you're never going to be able to get to where it is you got to go because you're blinded, okay? And you don't even know it. So that's another no bullshit podcast for contractors. Excellent. I know you're nervous, Rox, with in the beginning. You just crushed it. You rocked the house. And I know everybody's going to benefit from this. Pause the podcast. Apply this stuff. You guys need some help. I'm clicking the link below. tons of resources in the, Profitable Contractors Association. If you're not in that group already, I think there's like 17,000 other like-minded contractors in there. Get in there, get some free tools, get some insights. And again, if you want to have like a strategy session, get some insights, like this specific to your business, raise your hand, man. Raise your hand. Okay. If it's a fit for us to continue and have, further conversations, great. If not, that's totally cool, but don't do it alone. Ask for help, get the help you need, and move your business forward. We'll see you later. Thanks, Rox.
Hey, Rockstars, thank you for watching the No Bullshit Podcast for Contractors. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button. And if you're serious about growing and need help, click on the link below. Myself and my team would love to help and give you the necessary tools so you can take your contracting business to the next level. And remember, dominate, delegate, and deliver.